This video will contain spoilers from the off, so remember, you've been warned. Succession is now over after 5 years and 4 seasons. What a sad time. Before the show reached its finale, I was fearful over how it was going to be handled, as over the years we've seen many shows that we've come to love, grow with, connect with the characters, and not want to end go out in a way that is extremely underwhelming and undeserved. But I was wrong to have that fear with this show, as it managed to craft the perfect finale and ending. With an extended episode, we saw everything that the show is known for being leaned into at its hardest, and a sense of resolution, but the full understanding that their lives would be going on afterwards being clear and at the forefront, providing a strong sense of bleakness. It was just perfect to watch. Like I've done with other shows in the past, after the series comes to a close, I thought I'd break down and explain how Succession managed to pull off an amazing finale, and discuss why the ending was perfect. So let's get into it. Here is why Succession has the perfect ending. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. I'll be breaking this video down by a couple of different sections. The first is how the siblings' stories were handled. One thing that made this show so great over the years was the characters and casting that we had running seamlessly throughout the 4 seasons of the show. But in this season, the final one, we saw the true traits of the characters come out, and with the death of their father, their one main source of conflict was gone. So it meant that they themselves were going to be the cause of their own demise. They no longer had Daddy either splitting them up or causing them to come together because of a game that he was playing. Approval was no longer needed. What the finale did extremely well was that it made the episode feel very much like it was Kendall's episode. We were made to feel like we wanted Kendall to secure the retaining of Waystar and become the eventual CEO. But it was like what Shiv said in the episode to him, "You're not the most important one." Because he wasn't. It wasn't all about him, but we were seeing it like it was and really feeling like Kendall was leading the way. We were rooting for Kendall, rather than the siblings as a collective, and we very much experienced Kendall's fight to hold onto the company like the siblings did, on the side, and feeling like they weren't really getting the best deal out of all of it. Let's remember, Kendall was going to be CEO and Roman was going to be in charge of socials, not the most powerful role. With regards to the way that the characters ended, I thought each of them finished off in a way that suited them the best. Kendall had this real sense of emptiness that was present within him. He always yearned to be like his father and hold on to the empire that Logan created. He saw the power that came with it, and it was what he wanted. It was Kendall's life goal, to prove his father wrong. And with him walking off at the end, you could sense the despair that was present within him. It almost looked like he was going to cry when he left the office. It meant a lot to him because it was the center of his world. Hence why he was quite literally begging Shiv to go in and vote for him. Kendall will never achieve anything as great as what he could have had in holding onto the company, which is why he looked so sad. And you could tell that his life's purpose was over. The weight of what happened could cause him to relapse, or maybe even worse. But it painted a dark future for the character, and it was miserable to see. His children aren't nearby, his father is dead, he's no longer close to his siblings, and he lost his life's purpose. As sad as it is, it was the perfect ending for Kendall. With regards to Shiv, we saw her have the biggest turning point throughout the entirety of the final episode. She started on side with Matsson, pivoted back to the siblings, and then pulled away again. I thought it was great. The way that we saw her starting to see Kendall acting up like the CEO, and her coming to the eventual realization that he might not actually be that good at the role. When he put his feet up on the desk, and also when he was gloating about securing the deal with Matsson in the first place. All the looks that made her think differently of her brother. Shiv has always been a survivor and found a way to stay on top, and she did nothing different in this finale. She had the option of standing by her brother, which ultimately meant that she wouldn't get the payout and would have a job that didn't hold any power, as Kendall had all of the power, or she could vote no and side with Matsson, knowing full well that it meant that Tom would be CEO, which is what we saw happen. The lack of a grasp in the connection of their hands between the both of them at the end, to me, symbolized that she was doing this to survive. I feel that she wanted the best for her child that was soon to be born, and having a father as CEO of Waystar and being raised in a household that would be one, in her eyes, would be an upbringing that she'd prefer to give. Shiv didn't get a happy ending, nor did she get an ending that I feel the character would actually want, but she's simply surviving, and that's perfect for her. Roman was the character that came off the best out of them all. He was the individual that in all honesty didn't really care about it that much. It felt like he was just going with it. We saw him have his taste of power throughout the season, such as in episode 8 where we saw that he was the person who essentially got Mencken in as POTUS. But Roman was too emotional and inside of his own head for the role, and we saw him cave in at the funeral, and also in the most recent episode. Roman's ending was fitting. He was sat down at the bar, looking down at his drink and smiling, as if to be happy that it was all over. He could grieve for his father in peace and not have to worry about any internal politics, or feel like he was being played or playing people. Roman was content, and I feel that was the perfect way for the character to finish. All of these characters were handled really well, and the divide in how they all finished was the best way for them to end. The sense of realism in the ending. One thing that I loved, and something that I thought Jesse Armstrong and Mark Mylod nailed with this ending, was the sense of realism. An ending that didn't close the book, but rather we just finished the chapter in their life. As bleak as it was for all of them, we knew that it was all going to continue on, which I feel is extremely hard to execute. An ending is often something that makes us not really think about what could happen to individuals after, but this one did the opposite. In fact, it almost encouraged it and made you want to think about what it was that they would be getting up to once the credits rolled. So I feel they encapsulated that really well, and it added to the sadness that was present, as there was no real happy ending. You knew that they had to live with the loss that they had. I also liked the fact that the show ended immediately after the deal was done. There was no need to see the aftermath, it just stuck to what the show was about, the successor, and once that was decided, we didn't need to see any more. They will never be their father. Succession was all about the siblings trying to embody their father in some way or another, and that was made extremely prominent in this season of the show when they would often say, that's what he would do, trying to act as harsh as what he was, or questioning if Logan would do what they were about to do. However, right at the end, there was the stark realization that they would never be their father. Roman saying that they were nothing was the moment where they knew that they had lived up to what their father thought of them. They were not serious people, and they would never be good enough to take over the company. The one thing that they always wanted to prove that they could do. The one thing that Kendall had that resembled his father was that he had Colin following him behind, just like his father used to have. Succession Season 4 delivered, and more specifically, the finale delivered. There was an inability to root for any of the characters, but rooting for Kendall was the easy route, and the one that they wanted us to do, and seeing him not live up to the potential that he thought he had was extremely satisfying, yet painfully miserable to watch. In the end, the successor was the right choice. Logan won. He wanted to sell the company, and that happened. There was a respect between Logan and Tom, and I feel he would have most probably not been opposed to the decision. I'm gutted that the show is no more, but I'm glad that it didn't fall into the category of loved shows that tanked during the finale, and for that, I'm grateful. So, there you have it, why Succession has the perfect ending. If you want to see more videos such as endings explained, theories and predictions, and character breakdowns, then click on the I button. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter @brainpilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What did you think of the ending? Leave a comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.